The Tao of Self-Confidence, episode 757. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. Visit our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits. Well, hello friend. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. I'm your host today, Sheena Yap Chan, and today I have a phenomenal lady on the show today. She is a nutritionist, and I'm really excited to have her on and share her story with us today on self-confidence. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Aimée Suen. Aimée, how are you today? Maybe you can fill in a little bit more by yourself to the listeners.
Hi, Sheena. It's so nice to be here. I am many things. I am a nutritionist, I'm a podcaster, I am a creative, and I really love helping folks figure out their health and wellness in a way that works for them.
Thanks for sharing that. And Aimée, what's your cultural background?
I am Chinese, French Canadian, Irish, and Norwegian.
Thanks for sharing that. And Aimée, what would be your favorite self-confidence quote?
This is a really interesting question. I was thinking about this, and it's actually not a quote. It's just something that I've heard said a lot by two of my dear friends, the fact that I deserve to take up space. And my two friends, Chrissy King and Steph Godreau, have said that both at different times and in slightly different ways. But when I heard that, that really resonated with me a lot, that I deserve to take up space.
Thanks for sharing that, and I love that because especially as Asian women, we feel like we don't deserve to take up space, especially how we're brought up. We're told to just be in the background, never make any noise, just do as you're told, and that really hurts us. And I mean, we're all here for a reason, and we're here to, live our lives, help people, make an impact, and show others what's possible. So thanks for sharing that. And in your own words, how do you define self-confidence?
I feel like self-confidence is really owning and embracing all parts of yourself with love, kindness, and compassion, not just the things that, we as Asian women were told to be or that we think that we should be, but really loving and fully being excited about all the parts of us.
Thanks for sharing that great definition. And Aimée, what was your life like before your discovery of self-confidence?
It was a really interesting one, definitely related to what we've been talking about, that I thought that I could only be certain parts of myself around certain people at certain times. So I would show up around different groups of people and slightly different versions of myself, and that got really tiring. And I definitely didn't realize it at the time, but I think also a part of our conditioning as Asian women and as Asians in general was to keep myself small and quiet and not talk about certain things or not bring certain things up or not push or provoke or say anything, because I was always told, just be quiet, don't make a scene, don't make too big of a deal. So that's what my life was like before. And I didn't really like it, and I didn't really know what that was about until much, much later.
Thanks for sharing that. And I think a lot of Asian women can relate to that, especially we're always told never make any noise. If you do anything outside the path that we're told, we're considered crazy and it's shameful. But a lot of people don't realize that really hurts us. And then it also, gives society this notion that Asian women are just quiet and submissive, not realizing that's not the truth. And we have to, show people that, we're more than that. We're actually a lot stronger and more we're amazing human beings. And, what was that point in your life when you realized you can go out there and be who you are, have that confidence? What was that aha moment?
It was really interesting because I don't think there was one aha moment. I think there was just a building over time of feeling more and more frustrated and feeling more and more like something was off. And it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger until I started to connect the dots and realize that I was not taking up space, that I wasn't sharing that was on my heart with everyone, and that I was actually really scared to do that. So over time, I started to get that message sent back to me again and again and again, that I wasn't really showing up fully as who I was. I wasn't really embracing all of myself with people that I claimed were important to me, and I wasn't taking up the space that I deserve and that other people around me deserve too, because it didn't feel safe, and it didn't even feel like something that I could do. So through some health things and also through some personal growth moments that, again, happened over the span of several years, suddenly I just was like, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. But it didn't, I was trying to think about this, and I I couldn't think of like one moment. It was just like it slowly unfolded. And I think that's okay. I think we can have moments. Sometimes we have very crystal clear moments, and other times we look back and be like, oh, well, there are all of these small things building up and building up and building up till like it looks back at you and you're like, oh, that's clearly what was happening, but I didn't know at the time until much later.
Thanks for sharing that. And, because of these realizations, what's your life been like now?
Definitely an ongoing process. I definitely have moments where I feel a lot more confident to take out space, and I feel a lot more confident to share what's on my mind. And there are other times when it still feels really, really scary. It's a natural thing as we move forward. There are still things that are like, oh, it's not quite resolved yet, and so it's just going to pop up. It's a lot of, going to therapy, doing the work, talking with other people, doing healing work, which is like looking at stuff that I didn't realize I was carrying with me, like the conditioning, like the things like from our Asian communities, from being a woman, all these things. And honestly, starting a podcast was really, really helpful for me too, the Small Steps podcast, which yes, is about nutrition, but also was the first time that I ever really grew into speaking myself. And yes, I do have interviews, but there are shows where it's just me talking. And the more that I got comfortable with just me talking, the more that I realized that it was okay for me to say what was on my mind, and that what was on my mind was valid and important, and that other people needed to hear that too.
Thanks for sharing that. And I totally agree. I think, the great thing about podcasting is that you get to be who you want to be, which is your true self. It's about having that self-expression and using this platform to do that, right? Because it's your show, you get to say what you feel like and help others along the way. And, I'm glad you're able to do that, and it's helped you also. And, if our listeners were tuning into your episode and they're in their own journey to self-confidence, what would be that one tip you would give to them?
I actually have so many tips, but the first biggest one would be to take small steps and know that it doesn't have to be this big overnight change. You don't have to throw everything out the window. You don't have to quit your job and go on some like eat, pray, love journey. Like you can take small steps and they will add up over time. And it might feel scary, and that's completely normal. That's very, very fine. I've definitely not done all this and been like striding in with confidence. Like it's been really scary to take some of these steps. It's been really scary to have a podcast. And at the same time, it's like, oh, okay, this feels right. And sometimes it feels really scary. I think it's also really important to find people in your life that really love and support and see all parts of you. I've definitely shifted and changed my friends groups and my family groups over the years as I've really stepped more fully into myself and have felt more confident knowing that the people that I share myself with are people that can fully love and receive and support me. And I think it's also really important to process these things either with friends or with a professional, a mental health professional, so that you can kind of get clear on what are those things that are in the way or that you didn't even know were in the way because it's been so deeply ingrained in you since you were a young child. So getting professional help or getting help with another person to process all your things is really, really helpful. And I think one of the other things that's just as big is knowing that you deserve to take up space no matter what that space is, no matter how you want to express yourself in that space and how you want to feel, that you always deserve to take up that space.
Thanks for sharing those great tips. And if our listeners wanted to get to know a little bit more about you and what you do and check out some of your work, is there any links or social media profiles we can connect with?
Yeah, of course. You can check out my website. It's Small Eats, so that's small-eats.com. You can check me out on Instagram at small_eats, and you can listen to my podcast, the Small Steps Podcast, which is on iTunes and all the other places that you can find podcasts.
Thanks for sharing that. And to our listeners, if you want to connect with Aimée, you can also head on over to the taoofselfconfidence.com and search for Aimée's name. Her show notes will pop up along with everything else that we talked about. And I really want to thank Aimée today for taking the time to share her story and tips with us on self-confidence. So thank you so much, Aimée.
Thank you so much, Sheena. It was a great conversation.
Not a problem. It was really great having you on the show. And to our listeners, be on the lookout for another new episode of another amazing woman's journey to self-confidence. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now. Thank you for tuning in to another amazing episode of The Tao of Self-Confidence. Visit our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com to check out cool resources, blog articles, show recaps, and so much more. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits.